never smoke the dizzy, but we can always share some dizzies. It's just a cup in time. This song doesn't have to run. Life's all of us, not every moment we can be feeling fine. I wanna share a moment, just a second if you will, maybe even a cup of thrill. We could share this performance. It's tea time, come sit with me.
Well, welcome guys, Miss Liz back in the house, and we had an incredible afternoon with Haley Straw. Check that tea time out. We talked about the Amish community and her 3 books, so check that out. Tonight we have the incredible returning guest for the 4th time, Randi-Lee Bowslaugh, and we're going to be talking about her book, Goodbye Too Soon, and some good news and all that good stuff. We got some goodies for you guys tonight. But before we get started, you guys know how Miss Liz rolls. Get over to those platforms, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky, Lemonade, Clapper, all those good platforms. Give those a like, follow, subscribe, and join all the podcast apps out there: Podbean, Listen Notes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and the ones I didn't mention, Miss Liz on those ones as well. Check those out. Give those like and follow, subscribe, because these tea times do make a difference for the guest and for people that they resonate with, because we bring different flavors to the table. Also, check out babyboomers.org. Miss Liz is partnering with babyboomers.org. If you're looking to be on different podcasts and different flavors that Miss Liz doesn't offer, you can check out babyboomers.org, and you can get yourself featured on those platforms as well, because Miss Liz is not everyone's cup of tea, and I don't want to be. So thank you guys for that. And let's get the disclaimer going, and then a beautiful intro, and then we're going to get Randy in here, and we're going to spill her tea, and her tea is tragedy, emotions, and acceptance. That's right. We're going to dig a little deeper into that tea, because this is her 4th time. Disclaimer for Miss Liz's Tea Time live show. Miss Liz's Tea Time is a global platform dedicating to sharing real life stories, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations that inspire awareness, healing, and connection. I, Miss Liz, is going live using StreamYard. Before leaving a comment during the live broadcast, please grant StreamYard permission to display your name at StreamYard.com. Please be advised that all the content brought forward during any Tea Time show is presented in good faith. However, discussions may include opinions, beliefs, and perspectives that do not necessarily represent the views of Miss Liz or the Tea Time platform. Information shared by guests is based on their own experiences and is perceived to be accurate at the given time of airing. All guests, viewers, and participants are responsible for using their own good judgment when considering any action or decision that may relate to these discussions. Some episodes may cover sensitive topics, including but not limited to trauma, abuse, grief, mental health, and other emotionally triggering subjects. Listeners' and viewers' discretion is strongly advised. Tea Time with Miss Liz is an open discussion forum designed to offer insight, inspire awareness, and create connection. It is not a substitute for professional, medical, legal, or therapeutical advice. If you require professional support, please seek assistance from qualified professionals or trusted resources in your area. If you have any questions regarding this disclaimer or the content of the discussion, you are welcome to contact me, aka Miss Liz, directly at my email at bookingmissliz@gmail.com, or visit my link tree at Miss Liz's Tea Time. By choosing to participate in, comment on, or view these live shows, you acknowledge and accept this disclaimer. Your participation is entirely voluntary. I, Miss Liz, welcomes you to join the conversation with an open heart, and if at any time you feel this platform is not right for you, I respect your wishes and decision and welcome you back whenever you are ready. Tea Time with Miss Liz is serving truth and awareness 1 cup at a time. Well, welcome back to Tea Time with Miss Liz, where honest conversations continue to remind us that healing, awareness, and resilience are journeys, not destinations. Today, we welcome back a very special returning guest for her 4th appearance at the Tea Time table. Someone whose voice, advocacy, honesty, and lived experience continues to create meaningful impact for so many people navigating mental health, autism, chronic illness, and trauma. Please join me in welcoming back Randi-Lee Bowslaugh, Canadian author, speaker, mental health advocate, and creator of the Write or Die show. Randi-Lee's journey is one of the incredible resilience, living with depression from a young age, later being diagnosed with autism, CPTSD, and chronic illness. She has transformed years of feeling misunderstood into a mission rooted in awareness, honesty, advocacy, and connection. Through her writing, public speaking, YouTube platform, and continued advocacy work, Randi-Lee opens shares conversations many people are afraid to have, helping others feel less alone in their own struggles. What makes Randi-Lee's voice so powerful is not perfection, it is authenticity. Today's tea time will explore mental health, wit and resilience, autism and neurodivergent awareness, living with chronic illness and CPTSD, and the power of storytelling and advocacy, turning survival into purpose. Randi-Lee reminds us that healing begins when people no longer feel invisible. So grab your cup and join us for another honest, heartfelt, and impactful conversation filled with courage, awareness, and real life tea, truth, experience, and awareness. And let me get Randy in here and let's spill some tea. Welcome, Randy.
Hello, how are you today?
Oh, there we go. We got you. So how are you, Randy?
I'm good. How are you?
I am good. So, Randy, for the first time listeners that haven't heard your other appearances on Tea Time, could you share a little bit on who you are and who you were as a little girl?
I sure can, and just go listen to them. But
go back and check all those seasons.
Right? All the things. There's so many. So I guess, growing up as a little girl, I was just very creative and, very tomboyish, like to play in the mud and that kind of thing. As I got older into the teenage years, that would be when the depression started, when I'm like, I don't fit in at all. As I got older, that's when I went to college and realized, oh, there's a word for hating yourself. It's depression. Amazing. I got married. I've got a couple of kids. I got a grandbaby. I got some fur babies. And then in my 30s, I had cancer, got diagnosed with complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And now we're here.
For people that don't know what complex PTSD is, could you share a little bit about that, Randy?
Yeah. So when you hear PTSD, that one is fairly obvious, right? It's generally one big event happened and you are traumatized from that big event. That's why it's often associated with like army vets. However, now they've realized that it doesn't have to be one big event that leads you to be traumatized. It can be a series of smaller events. And that is the case with me. It's a series of smaller events growing up in my teenage years with an alcoholic stepfather, a drug addicted brother, and again, that whole not knowing who the heck I am and having depression all adds up to a beautiful little bow of complex PTSD.
So, Randy, when did you know that you had depression?
Not until I went to college and I was taking psychology. I went, that sounds like me. Still wasn't diagnosed, but I was like, that sounds like me. And then it would have been in my mid-20s or so when I actually finally went to therapy. And that is when the doctor was like, yeah, you're depressed. And my family doctor was like, yeah, here's some meds. And I'm like, ooh, these are great.
Give me those happy pills.
Right? Please and thank you.
So, Randy, for the people out there that may be suffering with depression, what message could you give to them today?
You're not alone. And that's so cliche because everybody says it, but oh my gosh, it's so true. Also, don't believe everything you think. I actually my kid made some merch from my merch store for the Ride or Die show. It's the cutest little picture because I told her the saying and I said, do what you want with that. And so she made this dinosaur because she loves dinosaur, like little cartoon dinosaur with a train coming out of its head because it's the train of thought. And so it was don't believe everything you think, which is so very true because so much of the depression is your brain telling you how bad you are, how horrible, how nobody likes you, and you should just, not be here no more.
So, Randy, what do you do on your hard days?
Take more happy pills. No, I'm just kidding. Although I am a big advocate. If you need prescription antidepressants, then yes, take prescription antidepressants under the direction of a doctor. But on those bad days, animals are great. Get yourself a dog, go for some walks, because between having a fluffy love and some outside exercise, nature, the fresh air, all of that is so very helpful.
Randy, we have a question here for you. What inspired you to begin sharing your story publicly?
Ooh, so there was actually a very pivotal moment that happened about 10 years ago now. So my daughter, who also has autism, she's diagnosed at the age of 8, she's 19 now. And she was just crying, bawling her eyes out. It was like midnight, and I still see it so vividly, this memory, because it was so impactful. She was just crying. Why do I have to be so different? Why does everyone hate me? Because she was really picked on, like really bad bullying to the point of nightmares. And I looked at her and I went, "Babe, you're not the only one." And then it clicked in my head that I had never actually talked to her about it. Like, it was just not something that we discussed. It was just like, hey, I'm going to hide why I hated myself growing up in hopes that you just don't, in hopes that you're just fine. That's not reality. The reality we live in is there is a struggle. There's also a bit of a genetic component. I mean, they're linking it right in science, but if you have depression or mental illness, oftentimes those in your family will also. So that is the pivotal moment when I went, maybe I should talk about it, because if my kid's feeling it and she lives in this house with me, other people need to hear it.
Well, it's becoming that role model, right? Mm-hmm. Setting an example.
Exactly.
Well, we have a question here for you from Citrus. Says, what inspired Randi-Lee to write a book about such a personal family experience?
Well, a lot goes back to that story I just shared. This book coming out specifically, Goodbye Too Soon, A Family's Lost by Drug Overdose, came from my brother's death by drug overdose. And it came down to, I just kept thinking over and over again, his death can't mean nothing. And so, and my brother, he loved helping people, couldn't help himself enough, but he loved helping people. So I was like, hey, if he wanted to help people, I want his death to mean something. How can I do that? How can I honor his memory? And that's when that idea came about.
How old was your brother when he passed?
37. I am officially older than him now.
Wow. So let's talk about this book tonight. We're going to talk about it because my listeners know what book we're reading because they've done their homework. Goodbye Too Soon. Tell us a little bit about this book.
So this was originally published 5 years ago in 2021. It is coming out June 20th, actually, is the re-release date for edition 2. And it was really important to write a second book for a couple of reasons that I know you're going to be super excited about. But the first one is so much changes in 5 years. So the core of the story is definitely there, but as time passes and I went to therapy and I started dealing with the guilt part that I felt, forgiveness for my brother, forgiveness to myself, and society as a whole for how society treats people with addiction. And going through all of that, delving into way more coping strategies, way more research on the topic, it was time that it needed a second edition. My publicist actually suggested it because I told him I was going to make a movie out of it. And he goes, oh, if you're going to make a movie out of it, then what do you think about re-releasing it with new content? I was like, that is a great idea. And he said 10 to 20% new content, and you can call it a second edition. I said, oh, bet, that's easy. There is now 50% new content. It's like I added a whole nother book into it with how much deeper like I went with it. I even put pictures, so you can see me as a very cute baby. And I think it turned out really well because we delved way deeper into the topic.
So you added pictures to the second edition.
I did.
Well, look at you, girl. So movie deal. Let's talk about it. What's going on with the movie?
So I was actually, before we got started, I was just working on the 4th draft of the script. It's I know, right? It's coming along quite nicely, actually. I think the script is just about done. I'm hoping the script part will be done by the end of July, and then we're going to start the storyboarding and rehearsal, like finding the cast and rehearsals and all that fun stuff. I'm very excited for it. I am also crazy nervous because it is a brand new thing I've never actually done before. Although when I was little, I used to write plays. I directed them at my church. I used to make my cousins act them out with me at home too. So like it's definitely within my realm of creativity, but very new to try and premiere it to the big wide world. We're aiming for a release date of next May because that falls under Canadian Mental Health Awareness Week. We don't have an exact date, but that week is what we're aiming for. I think it's coming along very nicely. I'm working on a page on my website right now to have donations if people want to support the movie, which is greatly appreciated. And your name would go in the credits under producer supporters. I haven't figured out the wording, but they'd go in the credits as people that had supported and helped the movie. So I'm super excited. It's going to be very emotional. That is the key to this. And ideally bring to light topics that people don't want to talk about. Nobody wants to talk about it. And when they do talk about it, it's kind of, I feel like it's in a very fluffed up, oh yeah, we know that there's a lot of people with addictions. We know there's a lot of mental illness. Okay, and? Right, like you can't just stop the conversation, right? You can't stop the conversation at we know it exists. That helps no one. We need to bring the conversation to it's not just the person that has the mental illness that is affected. It is the families. It is then society. Like the movie, just like the book, it's seen through, well, the sister, mine, eyes of having to get that phone. Like I was told before my mom because they couldn't get a hold of my mom. She was at work. So I was the one that talked to the police officer. And then I'm the one that had to tell my mom. And that was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. And I went through cancer, like, poof. So I had to tell her, and then I helped her to plan the whole funeral and everything. It was during COVID. So that made it 10 times more difficult. The funeral director watched us the whole time at the viewing, and there was a roped off area because you need 6 feet, and she was like, oh, no hugging, nope, you can't do that. It's like, okay. But when you're emotional and you're sad and you're grieving and your family is there to support you, first thing you do is go to give them a hug.
Absolutely.
No.
And I hope they do something for all the people that had to lose family members during that time, because that was trauma. That was trauma that we never even spoke about, right? The effects of what it did, saying goodbye or getting married with not having your loved ones, right? Everything was through video. And I think that's why video is dying down a little bit now, because everyone is overwhelmed with video because it's been years and years and years of video, right?
Exactly. I mean, obviously we like video, watch our shows. Like, come on.
Yeah, check us out. Like, but Randy, when you come on, you're like me. We're passionate about mental illness and addiction, right? Yeah. Because we have loved ones who suffer from it and we live with it. So we don't want to do the campaigns. We don't want to just talk about it one day. We want to talk about it 365 days. And we want society to say, okay, there's addiction here, there's mental health here. What are we going to do about it? Stop with just the labeling. Just stop with the names. What are we going to do? Where are we taking the extra steps? And I'm so excited for this movie. Like, you guys, I'm telling you, check out her previous Tea Times, because she gave you some nuggets and some good little Easter eggs in I think the second appearance. We talked really deep about the book. We gave a little bit of too much away, I think, the second time. But,
it could be. But I like to talk.
This is your 4th time on Tea Time. So what do you enjoy about coming to Tea Time so often?
We have such great conversations. Like you said, we're both very passionate about mental health. And I mean, you're only a couple hours away, remember? So we have that in common. But it's great when you can connect with a guest who is very similar to yourself, because I go on lots of shows and I like a lot of them. I think I've only been on a handful of shows in the past 5 years where I'm like, ooh, I do not want to go back on that one. But for the most part, I really connect. And with you, it's that connection. I think that we have such great conversations, and you make me dig deep.
I do. I make them dig deep into their tea.
Yep.
we steep the tea and we get it all ready for you, all of you guys out there, all the listeners out there. We have some comments that are coming in tonight from Bob. Randi-Lee speaks with such honesty and compassion. Thank you for sharing. We got a couple hearts here that are coming in from Kelly. We got a lot of incredible support that is tuning in tonight. If anybody is suffering from mental illness, Randy, what message would you have for them to check out? Like, there's our podcast to check out, but there's also other resources to check out that you check out for yourself as well.
For sure. So, I mean, in Canada, Canadian Mental Health Association is definitely a go-to. And then there's obviously some breakaway groups that are all sort of listed on there. But for the most part, from what I've learned over the years, every country has their own sort of Canadian mental health type of organization. So finding which one is going to help you. And then, I mean, depending on what it is, there's AA, NA, OA, G, like all of the anonymous groups. Even if you're like, I don't know if I want to do the whole 12 steps things or whatever, because I've heard some people on my show and they're like, the 12 steps didn't work for me, but community of people, that worked for me. So even if you're not into the entirety of what they're doing, meeting similar and like-minded people, that is such a huge help. You have to surround yourself with the people that you want to, I don't want to say emulate because be you, but people that can support you.
Yeah. Well, that's it, right? There's so many different groups out there, so many different resources. And that's why I always say tea time is not for everybody. It's, I don't want to be everyone's cup of tea. So if my cup of tea is not your thing, go check out Randy or go check out other podcasts, wherever you feel comfortable and you're getting something valuable from those podcasts. Go check those out because there's some incredible ones. And Randy has been having some incredible guests. We talked about that before she even came on. I was just like, I've been checking it out and I've been hearing some incredible feedback as well from her guests. We have a question for you from Jason. How difficult was it to relive these memories while writing the book?
Oh my goodness, I cried. There was definitely a lot of tears when I was doing it. So when I was writing the first edition, lots of tears. And in that one, I was still processing it all. And I was still really, really angry at Brandon, which is discussed a bit, but much more in depth in the second edition. Because by the time the second edition came, the anger had become second place compared to when I wrote the first one. So because I was so mad at him for dying the way he did, for choosing to do what he did, even though in my head I know what addiction is and I know, not all the science, but I know enough of the science and the psychology behind it to know he didn't wake up and been like, I want my life to just be this way and not have family and not raise my kids and all that stuff. But when you lose somebody like that, you're losing the hope that they are going to get better. You're losing any chance of ever having a relationship with them again. And that ticked me off. And that is a normal feeling. And that's something that anybody who has lost somebody in this way or is experiencing that right now, it's okay to be mad at them. I remember at his burial, and this is going to be a really great scene in the movie, such a great scene. At the actual burial, my mom wanted everybody to go up and say something to Brandon down to his grave. So I was there and I was whispering. And then I started getting very upset. I'm getting emotional right now. Might cry a little bit.
That's okay. You're allowed to cry. Remember, tea time, we cry, we laugh, we do it all.
And so I start yelling at him. Our godmother walks by. She goes, "Are you yelling at the boy?" And I stood up and I said, "Yes, I am, because I'm mad at him for doing what he did. And I bet you all of you are all mad." And I'm pointing at my aunts and my mom, and they're all like shocked looking at me. And I'm like, you can't tell me that you're not mad. You can be mad and sad and all of the things, and that's okay. And then my one aunt, who we're really close, she goes, "Oh, Randy, you're not that mad. You didn't throw anything." So I grabbed a tissue box, whomever it was beside me, and I threw it at her feet. I go, "I am mad."
There's your Kleenex.
Yeah, I threw something. And it's just, it was quite cathartic to do that. But this whole time I was holding it together. So from the day that my brother died to when he was actually buried in the ground was over a month. because we had the funeral the week after and then got told COVID restrictions were going to lighten a little bit. My mom wanted to then wait until they lightened up and we could have more people at the burial. So it was this huge length of time. And according to my family, I'm the strong one. I don't understand.
I don't like being the strong one.
Well, I'm just the autistic one. They don't understand my emotions. I know this. So, but because I'm the strong one, and it was just my mom and I to arrange everything, and she was a broken mess, understandably so, but I made nearly all decisions. I would look at her and she was like, I don't know. I'm like, yep, let's do that. Because she's not agreeing. Yep, let's do that. So by the time we got to the actual burial, I was done. I couldn't hold it together anymore. I had held it together for a month. I was done. I needed to finally just grieve. And so I let it all out. Like I said, it's going to be a great scene in the movie. And so I let it out and it felt so much better. So for anybody that's going through that, you're allowed to be mad. And for anybody that's going through having to lose the person while they're alive, which actually is called ambiguous grief. I learned that from Right in the second edition. It's okay. I don't remember how I got on that rant, but it was good.
But Randy, when you're always a strong one in the family, you get to a breaking point where you're just like, enough. Like that word strong is, I'm so broken. I'm so like, can you guys not see that I'm falling apart? And losing your cool is just saying, you know what, that's enough. Like it's enough. Well, we have a couple more comments that are coming in from Olivia. The honesty in this conversation is refreshing.
Thank you.
Real stories like this create real understanding. And yes, they do. This is why we do what we do at Tea Time, because we want people, the real listeners out there, to understand that everyone is suffering, right? Mm-hmm. We have a question here from Realtor of the Week. What message do you hope readers take away after finishing your book?
Ooh, see, you said what message, implying only one message, and there's just so many.
There's a lot.
So many. So I'm gonna give a couple answers, even though technically your question implies one. Too bad.
You're getting a lot.
You're getting a lot. You're
getting the Kleenex.
Number one, like we just said, you're allowed to have all the emotions when you lose somebody, whether it's losing somebody from addiction or cancer or whatever. You're allowed to have all of the emotions. It's totally normal, and you should experience them in order to deal with it. Number two is, I want people who read this book, especially people who don't live in the world of addiction. And when I say the world of addiction, I don't mean necessarily that you are the one that is addicted to something, because as I've already stated, it affects the whole family, the whole ecosystem that they touch, right? And so if you were one of those people living in it, know that it's okay if you have to step away. There's so much in that book where I talk about how I hadn't talked to my brother for years. He wasn't even invited to my wedding for fear that he would make a big scene, because I knew what our relationship was at that point, and I was not about to have that ruin my wedding. I'm gonna cry. And so I laugh so I don't cry. Those are kind of the two ginormous ones, but then overall, just know that people with addiction are people. And I say that in the book quite a lot. And there's whole chapters dedicated to showing how my brother specifically, because that's what the book's about, was a person who had a childhood, who became a teenager, who had an adulthood, right? Like he wasn't born one day just waking up as a 6 foot, 200-pound addict. Like that's not how the world works. So sharing that, and I go in the book, I go into a little bit of the psychology of what addiction is, to bring that understanding. And that's what I want people to know. I want them to have an understanding of it. So there's a lot. There's so much in that book to unpack. There's a lot.
Wait till you see the movie. The movie's going to be better than the book.
Yes. Thank you, Miss Liz.
I have a question for you, Randy. Who do you want to play Brandon?
So actually, Brandon doesn't have a part. He is going to be dead throughout the whole thing, because I'm doing it in the perspective of myself, like from the sister perspective. It starts the same way as the book starts, the day that I got the phone call. So Brandon's life is discussed in memories. The big question is, like thinking of who the main characters are. The big question is, who do I want to play my mom? That one is going to be hard. That one is going to be very difficult to figure out. I think out of all the characters, she's going to be the hardest to cast.
I think that's going to be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You got to keep me posted when this movie comes out, because I'm checking it out. I'm telling you.
You have to. And I'm picturing a premiere here in my region, and you're not far, so you should come down for the premiere.
That would be a perfect time for us to meet in person.
Right? That would be amazing.
Like, I think that would be awesome. I'll
could host a show
all the way.
We could host a show live beforehand on both of our platforms. How cool would that be?
That would be cool.
So cool.
Absolutely. You know, the reason that I love your story so much, Randy, is because you speak about the effects of the family. You know, there's so many stories of the addict. But what about the people that are surrounded that addict? You know, like you said, like you had to pull away for your wedding. You had to make those choices, and they weren't easy choices, but you know, those were days that you didn't want to have that memory of that outburst and that behavior there. So it's hard.
Yeah. And that's why it was important for this movie to show that Brandon was a person, but also to steer it towards that family system.
Absolutely. Well, we have a comment here from Kelly. So much wisdom being shared tonight.
Thank you.
From Rochelle, the balance between love and loss is being explained beautifully. We have a question here from Banter Show is, how has sharing Brandon's story impact others who have read your work?
So from people who I've heard or like read the reviews on, I'm getting really good feedback from it all. So like I said, the first edition came out 5 years ago. So I'm kind of basing it a lot on that, only because this one doesn't release until the 20th this month, because that would have been Brandon's birthday. That's why I picked that day. And so, yeah, the feedback has been really great. I've seen some reviews from, I love when I see them from people I don't know. It's great when I see people who I know read the book, but like when I see the ones who I don't know, I'm like, oh my gosh, what did you think of it? And so a lot of them have all been great feedback. Luckily I haven't had any trolls, really, knock on wood. But just saying how it's so kind of what you just said, Miss Liz. It's refreshing to hear it from the family perspective. And there was somebody that said it really hit home with them because they had experienced it growing up. And I was like, oh, I'm so glad that you feel not alone. One person was like, I was crying. I'm like, yes, it's what I want.
That's why she throws Kleenex boxes at people.
That's what I should have at the premiere. I'll just start throwing Kleenex boxes out at the premiere. You get one and you get one, yeah.
You all get a Kleenex box. That's how mad I am.
Exactly.
Mad in a crazy way, like Alice in Wonderland mad.
I love that.
We have a question here from Kathy is, how did you manage feeling of guilt while creating necessary boundaries?
Oh, that is a deep question. It's a great question. It's just so deep. And I discuss it a lot in the book because it was so hard to deal with. It was one of the hardest emotions to deal with. And I really didn't until I went to therapy. I could not deal with that one on my own. So there was actually a time when, before I knew anything about addiction. Now, I am 4 years younger than my brother. So there was a lot of times growing up as a teenager, not to say I didn't think of him, but when you're a teenage girl, your brother's 4 years older, and he's doing his thing, you're doing your thing, whatever. And then as I got older, though, I was like, now I want to have a relationship with you again. We played together when we were kids, but it was really rocky because, he was doing drugs. I was playing with Barbie still. And then there was this time when I was in first year college, and Brandon said, I want to get clean. I said, okay, yeah, I'll help you, of course. He comes over. I lived about 25 minutes away from where he was. So in my very naive brain, it was thinking, oh, if you're here, you can't get drugs. How are you going to get to them? You don't have a car. So he came, he stayed. It was there about 2 weeks or so, and then New Year's Eve hit. Oh, New Year's Eve. We have to go out. New Year's Eve, you have to go to the party. I didn't. I was home with my kid, but you have to go to the party. So he went against my better judgment. I kept telling him not to, but he did. And he then called me later that night and said, "Oh, I need to come over. I need to come back." I go, "No, I told you if you left, you weren't allowed back." "Yeah, but I just overdosed." "What? What? So you just died and got brought back? Okay, cool. No, you still can't come over." And so, anyways, I go into more of that in the book, and I talk about it in the movie and the script so far. But why I share that story is because after that moment, I was 20, almost 21 at the time, probably just 21, because that would have been right after my birthday. I felt guilty because I let him leave the house and he went and overdosed. I felt guilty because he made a choice that I couldn't stop. And there was a lot of that I had to process and work through. That was just one of the moments, and had to process, again, really in therapy than anything else, that they were his choices. Yes, his brain was addicted, but they were still his choices. What was I supposed to do? Tie him down? Kidnap him? Like, there wasn't anything I could do. But back then it was, I felt such shame and such guilt that I let him go and do those things. And a couple weeks before his death, actually, I had talked to him. He was at my aunt's house. I was on a Zoom chat with her. So I talked to him briefly, and he said, "Oh, why can't we get together?" I, of course, blamed COVID, which, yes, was true at the time, but also there was a piece of me that was still so hurt from him being addicted to stuff that I knew if we got together, it was not going to be beneficial for my emotional health. I hid behind COVID because it was just easier, because I knew if I said anything else, he was going to fly off the handle, because that was what his routine was. He was very manipulative, which is very common when people are trying to seek something that they want. And when I said no and tried to do it nicely, because I didn't want him to be all upset when my aunt was sitting right there, it ended with him calling me a bunch of choice words. And so, again, there was that guilt, because 2 weeks later, he was dead. And there was this guilt of, could I have said something differently? Should I have made more of a fuss about, if you were clean, we could see each other. If you weren't using, we could see each other. Should I have done that? Would that have made a difference? Probably not, right? Probably not. So there was so much to work through with all of that. And that's what my therapist really helped me to see is, what was my responsibility? What was his responsibility? My responsibility is to take care of my emotions. Yes, I can love him, but it does not mean that I have to love him where it is hurting me. The original title of the book was actually going to be Loving from Afar, because of that. So I don't know if that fully answered your question about the feelings of guilt and boundaries, but that's kind of how I attempted to work through it.
Well, Randy, I want to ask you, do you know about the triangle pattern?
I don't think so.
Where the family is put into a triangle all the time, where we put the guilt, the shame, and everything onto us. And we, we go back in the triangle all the time. So when they make that choice and they decide to drink or do the drugs, right? The first thing we do is, well, what if I would have done this? What if I would have done this? Mm-hmm. Right? The what if, right? Mm-hmm. And then the second part is, well, it's their choice. So why do we feel the guilt? Why are we always putting the shame on ourselves? And then the third part is, when do we break that pattern?
Yeah.
Right? Because it's a pattern we got to break too. And that's where the boundaries come in, I find. And that's the hardest part, is that third part of that triangle, is breaking those boundaries. Because like you said, you don't want to have the guilt. You don't want to have the shame. And then to find out 2 weeks later that he's gone, Yeah,
exactly. But I had to definitely stay firm in those boundaries of absolutely not. If he was going to be using, absolutely not. He was not going to know where I lived. He was not going to have access to myself, to my kids, to anything, because I had experienced him in his addiction for 20 years. right? And I just wasn't going to do that. And it really sucks because he never got to make amends. We never got to have a better relationship, anything like that. I mean, when I told my kid that my brother had died, she goes, "You had a brother?" Because it had been so long since she had seen him. Like the last time she saw him, I don't think she was even walking.
Yeah. And it's sad because there's so much affects the family, right? And then when you go for treatment, you get treated like you were supposed to wake up. Like, why did you let it happen? Why did you wait so long? Why did you? It's almost kind of like an abuse, right? When you stay in an abusive relationship, why did you stay? Why did you go back? Why did you keep helping? Why? Right?
Yeah,
There's always those stupid whys out there. Unless you live it, you won't understand it. And that's why I love having these open heart conversations, because we can break that stigma of why. We did it because we loved the person. We did it because we cared about the person and we wanted to see that person save themselves. But, we can't save anybody. The only one that can save them is themselves. And that's hard for when you love someone. We have a couple more comments here that are coming in from Bob. Thank you for breaking the stigma around addiction and grief. We got a couple praying hands here from someone. We have a question here from Ariel. Has forgiveness played a major role in your healing process?
Yes, that is the short answer. The longer rambling answer would be 100%. So we just talked about guilt. And so this is the perfect question to follow that entire thought process through. In order to work through my guilt, I had to learn forgiveness. Forgiveness for myself, making those choices, making those boundaries and keeping them in there. Forgiveness for Brandon, knowing that, again, he didn't wake up one day and go, it'd be great if I overdosed today, Wouldn't it be great if I lost my job today? So forgiveness for that. And then forgiveness as a whole to basically society as a whole, because he went through a lot of crap. I don't know all of it. I was 4 years older, but I know some of the trauma that he went through. I know that he suffered from panic attacks. So there was a lot of stuff. Obviously, we don't have time to go into all of that. Go read the book. But there was a lot of stuff, right? And so I had to have forgiveness on so many levels to a lot of different types of relationships. The relationships even that I held with my mom, and what my mom with my brother, that was a whole other kind of type of relationship. So there was so much forgiveness that had to happen in order for me to be doing exactly what I'm doing now, talking so very openly about it.
So Randy, as a mom now, your children are still young.
No, my grandbaby is young.
Oh yeah, that's right. You have a grandbaby already. That's right. You got a grandbaby too. You see how time flies.
I know.
Thinks, Randy, you look too young. That's what it is.
I am.
But having children, do they know the story of Brandon?
Yes. So I have not hidden it from them. Plus, they know that I go on all these shows and everything. So they are more than able to find the truth. We talked about it a bit, like with my older one, she really didn't know him much at all. Because technically she's my stepdaughter. So she never really met him, because by the time we were really together and married and stuff, the boundaries were in place. Like, she knew he existed because obviously there's nieces and nephews. So they had to come from someone. But with my younger daughter, who did know him a little bit, there's such cute pictures of like them together when she was a wee little baby. And he actually saved her one day. So when she was, I don't know, 7 months old or something, I had cut her nail too short and it was bleeding. And of course I'm 19 and I said, okay, I put a Band-Aid on it like you would do. She's an infant. I'm an idiot. Why babies put their hands in their mouths? I was so stupid. So she did. And so she started coughing on the little Band-Aid. And I was like freaking out because, I don't want her to. And my brother just swooped in, went in, pulled it out. He's like, there, like, no big deal. I'm like, oh my gosh, you just saved her. She wasn't choking, but like I was freaking out. And I felt so stupid because why would I put a Band-Aid on a baby who babies put their hands in their mouth? Like, what was I thinking? So yeah, he wasn't a horrible person. And that's the thing. When he was doing drugs, he was a horrible person. What he did in order to get those drugs were horrible things. but deep down, he was a good person. He just had so many, well, everybody calls them demons, right? He had so many demons. It's awful.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, right? They're not horrible people. It's the demons that are horrible.
Yeah.
And sometimes we just don't understand the demons. We all have demons. Every single one of us has something in us that, that scares us and makes us want to do things. If not, well, we're not looking in the mirror. We got to really look in the mirror. I always tell my kids, don't judge a book by its cover until you know that book's inside the book, not the cover, but the inside, because you never know what that person is going through. We have another question here from Mario tonight, and it's, what coping strategies helped you most after your loss?
So a really big one, actually. I mean, obviously writing the book, writing is a huge coping strategy, even if you never published it like I did. Writing is a very big coping strategy. Doing the research for my book really helped me, because then it helped me see an entirely other side to what addiction is. But a really big one, I read this book, I want to say it's called Shut Up and Listen. I want to say it's called that, by Paulo Aguirre, something like that. It's been a while, although I do cite it in my book. So if you do ever get it, you can see it. But I read this book, and that was the book that I read between the funeral and the burial that finally gave me permission to feel all the things. It was the first book that said, yeah, I mean, they say stages of grief, but you're not going to go through stages of grief in that sense. It's going to be up and down and good days and bad days. And it was just really hit home, that book. So that was a huge one that helped me really get over, I don't like the word get over, really start to live with the fact that he was gone. And then I remember another day I was doing yoga outside, nature. I was doing yoga outside, and I went into down dog, and I just start crying. I start bawling my eyes out, because that movement, and especially yoga, because the idea of yoga is you're breathing, you're staying in the moment. And I was just releasing all the stuff, right? Everything out. And I've mentioned it, therapy's great.
So I want to get into the kickboxing, because for everybody that doesn't know, I want to talk about the kickboxing a little bit tonight. And we have a comment here that I just want to share, that Roy has said, every answer tonight feels genuine and impactful. Thank you. Thank you, guys. I am so glad that you guys are tuning in and sharing how this tea time is making you all feel tonight. It really does make a difference. We have another comment came in from Kelly. The combination of truth, empathy, and endurance really shines through your story. So, Randy, let's talk about the kickboxing. Did you use kickboxing to help get through this grief?
A little bit, yeah. Again, it was COVID, so kind of hard to do that. But I will say, when COVID finally did lift, and that was probably a good 6-7 months afterwards, when I went back to it and the gyms were open, I definitely let out some release on those bags with the partners I was sparring with, that's for sure.
They were all Kleenex boxes. She was coming for them.
That's right. Instead of Kleenex boxes, they were punches, and they were going everywhere.
Do you want to share a little bit about the kickboxing, because you were a champion at kickboxing?
I was. So I was Canadian national champ in 2015 in my division. I went to Worlds. I did lose at Worlds, although the girl I lost to in the first round ended up winning the whole dang thing. So I got paired up real poorly at the beginning, because she won the whole thing. But then in 2016, I also went to the Pan American Games, and I got silver there. I loved it. It was so much fun. I kickboxed for a good decade. I coached it right before COVID shut the world down. I actually was a coach at the Ontario Winter Games, which is basically like an Olympic style event for teenagers in the Ontario province. So it was really cool. So I had my own little team. There was a couple of us coaches, and we had our team of, 10, 15 kids that we had to manage. And hey, you have this fight, and be in the quarter for them. That was super cool. I coached a bunch of other fights for people. Eventually my body said, hey, we're just not going to move anymore. You're going to be in immense pain all the time. So I haven't done it in a few years now, which kind of breaks my heart. I'm trying really hard because it was a huge part of my identity. I was a kickboxer. I was a kickboxing coach. Like it was my identity for so long, that I still
I'm still here
struggle.
with you,
I still struggle with it
girl.
a lot.
And we got some technical issues that are coming up, but that always happens during a live show, and the show must go on. That's the way it works. Me and Randy know how this works.
Oh yeah.
Randy, let's talk a little bit about your podcast. It's called the
Yes.
Write or Die Show. Share a little bit with that and where they can find it.
Yeah, so write like you're writing something. So Write or Die Show. You can also if you just put in my name, Randi-Lee Bowslaugh, then it'll also pop up on all the things. So I do it live, like Miss Liz. So you can see that on YouTube and Twitch even. And I'm off Rumble now. I don't know. It's new. But anyways, so you can catch me there. And then if you prefer listening through podcasts, then you can listen on Spotify and all the different, it shoots out to all the different things. But I talk to guests, just like Miss Liz. We talk about the very hard topics. Mental health is the main thing. So I call it Write or Die because writing saved my life, is how I like to say it as a teenager. Instead of actually killing myself, I just wrote about doing it, which sounds horrific, but that's the reason I am still here. So that's where the name came from. It was actually my best friend that came up with it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I love that so much. And I went with it. So I've been doing that one now 5 years. We are almost at 300 episodes, which is crazy to think of. And yeah, I would love, if you like Miss Liz, I think we have very similar vibes over on the Write or Die Show. A very fluid conversation all around that mental health stuff. So yeah, everybody should go check it out.
And you'll see the changes. Like, that's what I love looking back at all of your seasons that you've been on Tea Time, is the way you've changed your hair color, the conversation. Now we're just freebies, right? Like we've broken that iceberg and we just have fun together. Yeah. And I love it. So Randy, what is in the works besides this movie? Do you have another book coming? Any of those goodies?
Always. I do have a book that I kind of started before I got on this whole movie thing. So once the movie's done, I'll be going back to it. It's going to be my first kind of mystery novel. So I wrote about the first 3 chapters before. I was like, oh, I'm going to make a movie. So that's kind of on the side burner. But it's gonna be pretty cool, I think. So I mean, I'm sure I'll be back on after the movie, so we can talk about that. But always something in the works. I have a kid's book that's written. My kid is the one that does the pictures for it. She has been working on them for a long time now. Hopefully they're done in the next year.
You know what? A good time out will get those pictures done.
Oh my gosh. She's like, oh, I love her. And she's such a good artist. And I have 2 other Woofy books. So Woofy is this little stuffed dog. It's a book that my aunt and I wrote. It's this little stuffed dog who gets taken home by different kids in the classrooms. Because back in the 90s, that's what we had. We had little stuffed pets that you would take home. Then they realized that was really disgusting and stopped doing it. The germs. But so this is where it came from, because my aunt was cleaning her basement and she found the story that she had written for my cousin's class when he was little. And I was like, we could turn that into the book. It's a lot of editing. But we turned that into the first book, and I got my kid to do the pictures. So she did them so beautifully. And then we wrote a second. So there was Woofy Goes to the Hospital. The next one then was Woofy Says Goodbye. So again, the same little dog. And so this next one is Woofy Goes to the Dentist, I want to say. But I can't change artist now because she designed Woofy. She has to finish him.
Right? Nobody else can draw Woofy but her.
Yeah, exactly.
And sometimes you get a certain design or a certain character and you can't change it because that's just who does the book and does the storytelling. Well, we have another comment here coming in, and I've learned so much about grief, boundaries, and compassion tonight. I am so glad that you've learned something from tonight's Tea Time. That is what Tea Time is all about, is really just getting to have open heart conversations and have the listeners say, you know what, I feel what you guys are talking about together. You know, and we always enjoy having these conversations. Me and Randy, we always have these heart to heart teas. So your tea, you said to keep it. So we're keeping the tea. The tea is tragedy, emotion, and acceptance. Why those three words, Randy?
I mean, I think our whole episode kind of defined it. So, I mean, there's been lots of various tragedies throughout my life. We really focused in on this one, which is important because this is what I'm promoting and super important to talk about. And then emotions go along with tragedy and feeling all of the emotions, right? I've said it a bunch of times, feel all the things, whatever those things happen to be. And if some of the time, the thing that you feel is numb, that's okay. Just don't sit in the numb for too long, right? We want to cycle through to something a little happier eventually. And, you know, acceptance, because life is what it is. We can't turn back the clock. We can't make somebody change. So we have to accept what responsibility we have, which is to ourselves or to our kids or the things we can control and we can affect. That's what we have to kind of focus on and accept.
And Randy, what has addiction taught you about yourself?
That I might be addicted to food. And I don't say that laughingly. It's actually something I'm working on right now. Addiction has taught me that good people can make really poor decisions. And we don't always have to stand by those poor decisions. We have to do what's best for ourselves and for our families. And if that means that you set those boundaries we've talked about, and that means that you have to say, I am not putting myself through that again. I am not letting you steal from me again. That's what we have to do.
So what message would you have for all the listeners tonight, Randy?
Oof. Just go back and re-listen to everything we've talked about. No, the message is you are not alone. There are different supports out there. You can Google, or even, I mean, ChatGPT is kind of cool if you were to say, hey, what supports are in my region, my state, whatever. It'll help direct you for your research anyways to find a correct phone number that helps for you. Like I said, in Canada, we got Canadian Mental Health Association and we got the Kids Help Phone. In my region specifically, we have a Pathstones help number. So there's, at least where I am, I know we have quite a few, but there's stuff all over the world. And find your community, find people that will support you. You don't have to stay friends with someone just because you've always been friends with them. You don't have to stay in contact with a sibling just because you're siblings. If they are draining you emotionally, if they are not treating you with kindness and respect, then sometimes you have to set that boundary and say, no more.
So one last time, Randy, I'm going to pull this book up. Where can people get this book? And
Amazon.
spell out your website for all the audio listeners.
Yes. So you can get Goodbye Too Soon. The subtitle for the new edition is A Family's Lost by Drug Overdose. You can get that on Amazon right now. Pre-order for the Kindle. June 20th, it officially releases. It will also release on through Ingram Sparks as well, and all of the different places they put it onto. And then my website is RB Writing. So RBWRITING.ca. And you can see all of the different books and everything. And there will be a page coming up there. I'm off my day job on Friday. So my big goal on Friday is to get the page up for the movie. So you'll get to see more information about the movie, as well as if this conversation resonated with you and you want to support it, there will be a donation button there.
Well, thank you so much, Randy. I really had a blast having you back on again, and come back again when that movie comes out. And you know what? I'm going to come and see that movie in person because you're only a few hours away. And like I said, we go there a couple times a year, so we're going to go that way. I want to thank all the listeners that joined in tonight and brought your comments, your support and your questions out there. I could not do this without any of you guys. And this is how you guys make Miss Liz not feel alone. So thank you guys for all of that support. We're just going to do a fast recap of what tonight's tea time was, and we'll be back on Thursday and Friday again this week. Miss Liz has got a full week for you guys. What another powerful and deeply honest conversation tonight. Randy, thank you for once again bringing your vulnerability, courage, advocacy, and authenticity to the tea time table. 4 appearances later, your voice continues to create space for conversations that truly matter. Tonight's discussion reminded us how important it is to speak openly about mental health, neurodivergent trauma, chronic illness, and the emotional realities so many people silently carry every day. One of the strongest reminders from today is this: people do not heal through silence. They heal through connection, understanding, and knowing they are not alone. Your willingness to share your journey openly helps others feel seen, heard, and validated, especially those who have spent years feeling misunderstood or disconnected from the world around them. You continue to showing that advocacy is not about pretending to have all the answers. Sometimes advocacy is simply begins with the courage to tell the truth about your own experience. Here's some food for thought to leave with everyone tonight. How many people around us are carrying invisible battles while still trying their best to keep moving forward? Because kindness matters more than we often realize. Thank you, Randi-Lee, for continuing to use your voice to create awareness, compassion, and hope for others navigating difficult journeys. Until next time, keep speaking your truth, keep advocating for understanding, and keep serving real life tea, one conversation at a time. And I'll see everybody same time, same place, and we'll do this all over again.